Hi there, I'm James Osborne, the co-founder of the Recruitment Network, and this is the TRN Podcast. Every week, we unpack the strategies, the technologies, the processes and mindsets fueling today's top-performing recruitment agencies. We take a look behind the scenes of some great recruitment businesses. We listen to the real-life stories of those who have built those businesses, and we learn from some of the industry's greatest thought leaders to help you become both future fit and future relevant. So let's begin with this next episode of the TRM Podcast. Let me talk about what we're going to talk about today, which is this whole concept of the super agencies, and something I'm super excited about at the moment. I've been traveling all week so far this week up in Manchester and Leeds. We've been talking with lots of recruitment companies and TRM members about this change in the marketplace, this evolution or revolution that we're going through as an industry, and then actually how do you capitalize on it and make it an opportunity rather than something that's a bit of a pain as much as anything else. So it is a revolution that we're sort of going through. I think the market's changed. I think the reality is there's a hell of a lot of stuff happening at the moment in the market. And I think, and I've been in the industry now for, 25, 26 years or so. And never before have there been so many external and internal forces that are basically influencing our businesses right now, that are pushing and telling us basically how do we run our businesses in these types of markets. And I think the question is no longer about how do we just survive, because these forces are going to continuously evolve, but it's how do we rebuild or build an agency so we can actually capitalize on this type of market. It's not about survival now. Survival is not a good enough strategy necessarily, and it also makes it very, very hard. It's about how do you build a business that actually in this type of market, because of what's happening in this type of market, you can really do well and grow significantly. And I think that's where the opportunity is and what we're really excited about and what we're seeing already. What's going on, if you look at your business, if you look at the recruitment sector, there's so many different things that are being thrown at us every single day, and it keeps evolving, it keeps changing. It's probably why most recruitment leaders are quite knackered at the moment, I think, after what's been quite a long sort of 3 or 4 or 5 years. So you've got all the economic stuff that's happening around the world. Trump obviously is not necessarily for helping facilitate some of those things, but that's a reality, whether it be consumer confidence, about global trade, etc. You've got all the sort of the workforce stuff that's happening around these different types of behaviors in our workers and skill shortages and the different types of demographics of workers, etc., including workforce models for that matter. You then got the whole technology story with AI, data, recruitment tech, automation coming into play. You've got the commercial forces, so your positioning in the marketplace, your ability to access talent, competition, which is no longer just the local recruiter up the road. It's now some guy with a tech platform the other side of the world who's now tapping into your marketplace using technology. And then you've got all the other rubbish that goes with it, legislation changes, geopolitical changes, sustainability, and all that sort of stuff. So there's so much going on. There's so much being poked and prodded at a recruitment company. It's unbelievable. And all of these things have an impact on our ability to grow our businesses. But we also have an ability to give us a toolkit to actually go and create opportunity as much as anything else. And this is actually where it gets quite interesting. Because the only thing right now that's holding people back, I think, is our definition of what we could be doing and actually then getting on and doing something about it. I see a lot of recruitment companies and recruitment leaders a little bit like rabbits in a headlight, waiting for the market to go back to what it used to be type thing. Here's the news flash. It's not going to go back to what it used to be. It is what it is now. We live in a world of volatility and uncertainty and complexity. You need to be able to build a business that can transact in that type of marketplace. And at the same time, you need to build a business that is de-risked from some of these forces that we've talked about before. So let your mind wander, let your mind open here to possibilities of how this is a market for opportunity, not just a market of challenges. We've also seen other things happening at the moment. Goldman Sachs, there's been a lot of reports in the last week or two. Again, I'm very happy to send you the links to some of these reports that have come out. Goldman Sachs had a big conversation, a big white paper about what's happening with AI and how it's impacting the workforce. And how much entry-level knowledge work is exposed. So there is this massive sort of workforce redesign that's underway because we know that low-level roles are being exposed now because of AI, etc. But that also implicates the fact that down the track, where are the senior managers going to come from if we're not pumping into our businesses low-level roles in the first place? So that's interesting. They're also saying that when we have these job losses that you're seeing announced all over the place at the moment, actually, it's not just AI that's replacing them, it's actually new physical labor that's replacing the jobs that have been removed. So what is happening is we're seeing this big shift with organizations who are getting rid of certain types of roles within their businesses, but then bringing in other types of roles into those businesses alongside AI at the same time as well. So don't look at this. When you read the papers are very good at making us feel really bad and negative about the world, job losses and here and there and everywhere. The reality is this is just a shifting out of what organizations are doing to be able to bring in a new world of talent into their businesses with different skills and different capabilities as well. And then you look at AI itself, and Sam Altman, I'm sure you know, is the CEO of OpenAI. Basically, he was talking previously about a jobs apocalypse. That again wasn't particularly helpful for our industry when you got someone from OpenAI basically going, "There's going to be a jobs apocalypse. All jobs are going to get ripped up, and et cetera, et cetera." What has actually happened, and this is in his words, not mine, is he basically said, "I've got that wrong. There isn't going to be a jobs apocalypse. There isn't a jobs apocalypse at all. And actually what's happening is AI is here to superpower and supercharge people, not replace people, because people fundamentally still treasure that human interaction." I think if we were going through this AI transformation as an industry, maybe if COVID didn't happen, then that may be slightly different. But because of COVID, human interaction has become more important than ever before, and people are really holding on to that, which means actually we're not allowing AI just to come in and rip up the rule book anymore. We still want to keep that human interaction in place. And that's not me saying this as a recruiter hoping that it's going to justify my future. This is the head of CEO of OpenAI saying actually human interaction is really important. Judgment becomes more valuable when there's human interaction as well as AI on top of it. So this is now brilliant for us. This plays perfectly into our hands as an industry, which is great. It does, however, mean the industry itself is sort of segmented at the moment. And there are three different types of recruitment company, I think. There's those recruitment companies that are struggling still or are basically finding it really tough still at the moment. There are those recruitment companies that are rebuilding. They've sort of figured things out now and they're rebuilding to become future fit and future relevant. And there are what we refer to as the super agencies, who are the ones who are already rebuilt and who are significantly taking market share at the moment. And what we're really interested in is helping members of TRN move as far as they can to the right-hand side and away from the left-hand side as we possibly can. And I think we're doing a good job of that with quite a few of the members at the moment who are now having, again, record months, record quarters and stuff. And they're winning types of business that they shouldn't have been winning before. And what I am referring to is merging and evolving into what we call these super agencies. And I put a trademark symbol on that, not to over-egg it and not to be sensationalize it. But the reality is, there are some really great recruitment companies being born right now because of the markets and because of how they're adapting to those market conditions. That's really exciting. And I want everyone on the call today to be thinking about, how does this relate to my business and how do I become a super agency? Or even as a recruiter, how do I create super recruiters, highly profitable, high net contribution, low payout rate recruiters who are significantly adding profitability to the bottom line? So those struggling agencies, hopefully none of you on the call are any of those, but we're still working hard, we're hustling hard like anything else, but the actual model itself is a little bit tired, so therefore our hustle is not really converting into profitability and growth. What are we seeing? We're still very, very reactive. Our sales pipeline is weak. We've got poor client control, client relationships and lock-ins. Our consultants, there's inconsistency around their performance. And actually we end up with a whole bunch of people are underperforming, and much of our business is reliant on one or two people turning up and delivering. And we haven't really got our head around AI. We're ignoring it, or we're just using it sporadically because we just haven't got the time and attention to focus on it because we're too reactive working on trying to fill jobs, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I'll refer to as a struggling agency. There's some of the signs that we see in those agencies. So if you see any of those signs in yourself, you might want to think a little bit about where you're at. We then got these rebuilding agencies who have gone through a process of realization that actually the old model needs to evolve and change, not because it's necessarily wrong, it's just because it doesn't work anywhere near as well as it used to. What does that mean? Well, they're starting to look at their niches and make sure that their niche is the right niche, it's a growing niche. They're looking at their structures, they're looking at their pricing models, they're improving their sales discipline across the business. They've accepted across the entire business that everybody is involved in the sales process and therefore has accountability to the sales process. They're building better systems, in some cases automated systems that are like building like engines in the background. I've literally just come off a call with one of the members where we're building out their go-to-market sales engine. It's been brilliant, and it's really almost like purring in the background now. So they don't have this feast or famine rubbish. It's like always on. They're using AI, but they're using it properly. They've moved from that co-pilot to autopilot, and maybe that autopilot into mission control, which is the evolution of your AI strategy. And there's a big focus now on productivity, profitability, margin, etc., etc. That growth, but sensible, deliberate, profitable growth rather than just growth for growth's sake. So they're the rebuilding agencies. And then we've got this third tranche, which are the ones we're going to touch on today, called the super agencies. They're already doing things differently. They figured this out. They've got on with it. They've made things happen. Everybody in the business knows now what this new version of good looks like within the company, and they're drumming for that and hiding for that. What's happening? How can you spot these super agencies? They've got a very clear market position right now. They're taking market share. They've got incredibly strong client and candidate loyalty. The consultants within the business, the right people in the business are out there selling, are acting more like advisors now and less like transactional consultants. They're using AI properly, but it's actually moving the needle and it's supporting their daily workflows. They're using data properly, and that's driving their decision making. And they've got this beautiful operating rhythm that's just always on, consistent, always humming in the background, so it never sort of turns off. So 3 different types of agencies. I'm hoping all of you on the call are more geared towards the super agency and less like the struggling agency. But you get the idea, and I think you can all probably assimilate, and you've seen businesses like that yourself. Can everyone just give me on the call, just give me a thumbs up to let me know that makes sense? Just put that in the chat. Give me a yes or a thumbs up in the chat to let me know that makes sense, just so I know that you're clear about these 3 different types of agencies that we're sort of seeing here. I'm not over-egging this. I'm not sensationalizing this. It's just a reality of what we're seeing right now. And I get very excited by the fact that we've got businesses right now who are rebuilding, who are becoming super agencies, which makes you think a little bit, maybe it's not the markets, maybe it is how we are positioned within those markets. So let's have a quick look at some of those super agencies and what do they look like. Just some examples. This is one of the members that we work with. They had 67 recruiters a couple of years ago. They're down to 15 people now. So you could argue they failed, but they haven't failed actually, because their business is really rebuilt for proper growth. Their cost base is about 200 grand a month. Their weekly contract GP covers that cost base, which is good. So basically they wake up every month and pretty much all their costs are covered, but they're doing about 120k in perm fees on average each month. So that's about a 1.3, 1.4 million pound profit business. When they were 67 people, they were nowhere near that from a profit point of view. So I look at that as a really bloody good recruitment company. Let's call it a super agency for the sake of today. It's just a really damn good recruitment company that seems to have figured out how to be smaller, more agile, more nimble, and generate high levels of profitability. There's another recruitment company who've actually increased headcount. They were 18 this time last year, now up to 29. Their average GP per recruiter is just bottomed up or hit a target of 460k per annum. So that's the average across all their business. Let me know if anyone on the call can beat that, because I'd be surprised, because it's bloody good. And actually 35% of their business is not coming from recruitment. It's now coming from talent consultancy, a different service line they've opened up to make their recruiters more profitable as well. So again, another bloody good recruitment company. Let's call them a super agency. This is a solo recruiter, absolutely flying at the moment, doing a couple of $100 grand worth of business purely from her community platform that they built, which is about, we built a community platform in the first place as a sales strategy. It did so well, we're now monetizing it, and we're doing about 220 grand worth of annual recurring revenue off the back of that. But on top of that, she's also doing about 170k in perm fees. She has 2 people working for her in the business. One's a community manager and one's a resourcer, both offshored into South Africa. So this is a solo recruiter doing close to 400 grand's worth of business, actually more than that now, about 400 grand's worth of business, basically working for on their own at home type of stuff. Another great company. Let's call it a super agency. You would have heard of the Metric deal, I'm sure. It happened a few weeks ago. Sold at a valuation of 100 million pounds by BGF. This is a 7-year story. This is a perm-only recruitment company, remember, who is pretty much executive search, but not quite executive search, in that middle ground, getting a valuation of 100 million pounds. So, A, that tells me the recruitment sector is still very much open for business if people are willing to spend 100 million quid on a recruitment company. But B, also, it means actually as a perm-only business, you can still be really profitable and create a great business. So again, another example of a super agency. And just for fun, sometimes it's always quite nice to see what other people's P&Ls and balance sheets and management accounts look like. This is one of the companies that I advise. This is their latest set of management accounts. Again, if you look at these figures, really, really impressive. Since this time last year, they put from 660 grand in the bank to over 1.4 million pounds in the bank, sort of stuff, sitting in the bank, ready to be invested in growth, and so on and so forth. So again, these are just standard recruitment companies. They're no different from anyone on the call here today. They just seem to be doing things slightly differently. They figured it out, and it's bloody well working. So let's call them super agencies. In your world, you need to come up with your definition of a super agency. That's mine, but you need to think about actually in the markets that you work in, your business, actually, what is your definition of this? What actually makes a really amazing recruitment company in my type of marketplace? I don't think it's not defined by size anymore. I think that old story is gone. How many offices you got, how many recruiters have you got, etc., etc. I think the big recruitment companies, the staffing firms that you read about in the papers that are downsizing, have proven that it's not about size anymore, but it's all about performance. It's about driving higher levels of performance. So agencies, super agencies, are ones that win market share when the market is tough, probably because the market is tough, because actually it creates opportunities when weaker other recruitment companies or your peers are finding it hard. They've got a clear niche and a very strong positioning within that niche. They know deliberately who they're after and why, and then they're renowned and famous in that niche. They're good at converting relationships into repeatable revenue. I literally had this call with someone today. We're talking about all this amazing stuff they're doing around building relationships, but how to commercialize that, how to turn it into repeatable recurring revenue. It's such an important part of the matrix. They're using AI and automation, not everywhere, but they're using it properly when they are using it. They have a strategy and it's actually moving the needle. The candidate experience and the client experience is above and beyond what we refer to as celebrity. It's brilliant. And there's one of the companies I'm working with at the moment who have basically cleared out everything within their business, and their entire go-to-market strategy is about candidate experience. They know the majority of their referrals and recommendations they get for jobs comes through their candidates. So they are now tripling down on the candidate experience to drive more referrals, repeat business, recommendations, etc. They have this accountability ownership sort of culture within the business. So everyone in the business feels they are part of the process. They're creating urgency. They want to win and they own the process. So they're accountable for delivering. And there's this operating rhythm that's happening in the background. It's humming. It's like an engine in the background. They're not just building a business based on hope or hope that the market might get better. So again, some of the things that I'm sure you're seeing within your own businesses, I hope you are. If you're not, you might want to think about it, or certainly reach out to me if you're interested in any of those things in particular. We can give you a hand with that. Couple of final things, and I was talking about this yesterday in Manchester. They're doing the basics better and more regularly than everybody else. We've been saying that for hundreds of years now in the recruitment sector. Just turn up and deliver what you should be doing, the minimum standards, do them better than everybody else. You're probably going to win. That's still absolutely true. You just need to define what your new basics, what the new minimum standards actually are in this type of market. They're more visible than everyone else. So they are open for business. They're everywhere. They're out and about in front of their customers, in front of their market. I still talk about recruiters doing 20 client meetings a week. I still sit by that. I still think it's bloody well right. And I think if you're doing anything less than that, or you're just emailing all day long, you'll be completely invisible in this type of market. We talked about AI. Obviously, AI is super powered, but they're still containing and remaining human, and that's a really important part of the process. They're building communities to allow them to build a sales strategy around communities. So candidate communities, client communities that they own, that are feeding the sales funnel. They're doing lots of international stuff. They're not restricted by geography. So they're doing business from different places. I was talking about a case study yesterday with one of the members I helped win some business. They're based on the south coast of the UK. They're working with a US client, and they're building a tech center for that US client in Portugal. That's where the world works today. You can do all of that from a base on the south coast of the UK, working with UK international clients, helping them move or create talent pools in other geographical locations. That's just now almost the norm, and it's very, very possible. And they have this RevOps engine. Again, it's purring. Sales is always on, never stops, never sleeps, and that type of stuff. So they're some of the things I look at when it comes to a super agency. There are probably more things around that. That's why all these free programs that we've created at the moment, that we're rolling out, and we're doing hundreds and hundreds of these at the moment, are so important because they align to a lot of that stuff we talked about. We don't just create these programs for fun, these playbooks for fun. We do it because we know that it's pushing the needle right now. Velocity is the sales playbook, how to do BD in this type of market. Traction is the AI program, the free 4-week AI program where we're actually building agents with the members and recruitment leaders that are actually making a difference. They're learning how to build whilst building. Social scaling is that top of the funnel, how to beat the LinkedIn algorithms and how to build a proper brand so you're famous and your recruiters are famous. And then Pinnacle, probably the most exciting thing I'm having sleepless nights about at the moment, which is about how to deliver more of a talent consultancy service offering rather than just a pure recruitment offering. So 4 very different programs that we're running at the moment. They're all available to you. Just if you want any of these, just give me in the chat, just say which one you want, and we'll get them across to you. We'll get the playbooks across to you. Help yourself, just implement within your businesses and crack on with them. But the reason why we built these programs is they absolutely work and they are making a difference right now. So feel free to help yourself to that type of stuff as well. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly run through. I'm going to keep it fairly short for today. I'm going to send you these slides, and this is some homework for you almost to think about and doing. But what I'm saying to everyone at the moment, this is a really, really good time. I know it feels busy and you haven't got any time, but this is such a good time to take some time to basically do a sort of a map or a total rebuild of your business. Not because you have to, not because your business is failing, because it will force you to ask some really uncomfortable questions that you probably don't want to be asking right now about how your business is currently functioning. And that's a really healthy, that's a really good thing. We do it every 6 months in our business. Almost like, if we're going to rebuild a business tomorrow, completely from scratch, blank piece of paper, what would we do differently? How would we structure it differently? That will get you asking some questions based on, well, why aren't you actually currently doing that at the moment, as an example. The reason why I wrote a post this morning on LinkedIn about minimum standards is because I had exactly that conversation with one of our members over in Australia, and we were rebuilding their structure of the business and literally having that conversation. Well, if we're saying this stuff, why are we not doing it? Well, let's now go and do it. Okay. And that was around minimum standards. This is what I refer to as a Kodak moment. Some of you may not even know who Kodak are. I'm a bit older than you guys, maybe. But this is a Kodak moment. Look it up if you're not familiar with Kodak. But Kodak didn't fail because it missed out on the technology. In fact, it was actually one of the first camera companies to actually create a digital camera. But it failed because it couldn't let go of the business model that made it successful in the first place. Just think about that conceptually. You've all run great businesses, recruitment businesses, successful businesses. We're holding on too much sometimes to what got us here in the first place, when actually what we need to do is think about the model we need to have moving forward. So look at your business model and ask yourself 7 questions. And these are sort of the things for you to take away and think about. It starts with your purpose and positioning. So what are you actually about as a business? What are you becoming? What are you serving when your customers? And then we start talking about things like, who are your customers? What are the products and services that you're taking to market? Do you have a proper sales go-to-market strategy? What is it? How are you using data and intelligence within your business? What does the actual org structure of your business need to look like? And then sitting underneath all of that is your technology stack with AI and automations, etc. So these are 7 really important elements of your business that I want you to be thinking about. And if you had a blank piece of paper and you're going to sit down for an afternoon with a cup of tea or a glass of wine or whatever it is that you want to focus on, go, okay, right, let me just look at my business and spend the afternoon asking myself some of these questions around my purpose, my customers, my products, and so on and so forth. It's a really, really healthy exercise to do. Now, I'm not going to go through this in detail with you today. I'm just going to run through this to give you the questions to think about, to take away. I'll send you the slide deck, and this is a great exercise. Any of you on the call, if you do this exercise and you want to then run it through with me, I'll be very happy to do a one-to-one with you myself for free. If you're not a member, obviously if you are a member, you always get this anyway, to do a session with you to go, okay, what are you trying to become within your business? And I'll show you how you can get there based on where you are today and where you could potentially get to. So purpose and positioning is about the business that you're in. What is the business you're in, and what business do you want to be in? Is it about just placing people, or is it different from that? Are you actually really solving the problems that your customers have got today? They are different problems than they were yesterday, that's for sure. And what do you want to be famous for? So think about that piece. Think about your customers and ICP. So who do you currently sell to, and who do you want to be selling to? Who are your most valuable customers? Who will be your most valuable customers tomorrow based on where the markets are shifting and what's happening? Which customers are the easiest to serve? Let's go with the easiest to generate profitability and contribution from, etc., etc. So think about the future of your markets. Think about the future of your customers. Think about your products, your services. I don't think any more recruitment companies just sell recruitment anymore, doing perm and contract and search. I think we now sell a suite of products. Not to sugarcoat anything, not to get away from the fact we are fundamentally recruiters at heart, but we have the ability now to sell different products and services to our customers. And in some cases, some of these products and services are significantly more profitable, more valuable than they are from a traditional recruitment point of view. This is brilliant. This is exciting. This is where it gets really, really interesting. So ask yourself some questions. What would your clients pay more for? How do you create a relationship that's recurring, that's sticky, that revenue is sticky, and so on and so forth? And what are the products that you're taking to market to allow that to happen? We've done a lot of work around this. Again, I won't go through this in detail. This is based on the Pinnacle program about the difference between recruitment and consultancy and how that sort of shifts. It creates this white space, which I think is so lucrative. It's unbelievable because I'm seeing it firsthand, members who are already winning business now in this white space, because ultimately your customers want it, but they don't want the consultancy stuff because it's too expensive and too slow. They want more than just what we're providing in recruitment. That creates the opportunity in the middle. If any of you have ever read Blue Ocean Thinking or Blue Ocean Strategy, or seen any of that stuff that we've done around that, you'll never realize how much of a blue ocean opportunity this is right now in this white space that is in the middle. So have a think about that. If you're interested in that, come on the Pinnacle program with me. I'll show you how to find capability projects. Or show you how to identify what's driving these projects in the first place, and how to go and win these projects and take those to market. Because your clients don't want CVs anymore. They want more than just CVs. They want more than just filling jobs. They want outcomes, solutions, direction, certainty in those outcomes, and so on and so forth. And it's very, very different. And we've got some great examples of organizations that are shifting from using consultancy firms to deliver a project to actually using recruitment companies to deliver exactly the same project, but are basically 70% cheaper than a consultancy firm. So huge, huge opportunity here if you get this piece right and you know how to build the right solutions to take to market. We use AI to support us with this. I've built an AI agent to help you find capability projects. So these are the projects that are highly valuable. If any of you want a copy of my agent, just give me a yes or a thumbs up in the chat and we'll get that pinged across to you. And you can literally type in your markets and geographical location and it will find them for you. We found a whole load of new government framework consultancy or capability projects that have just been advertised that I don't know any recruitment companies are talking about, but they are recruitment related. So it's just like, it's crazy. We're not even getting these opportunities, which is sort of madness. And they're happening right here now. If you're looking for business, they are currently happening. Someone else is getting them. And then part of the Pinnacle program is where we build out our consultancy menus. So what exactly are our consultancy offerings that we're taking to market? And again, very quickly for the sake of today, it's about the convergence of the sentiment data that you've got access to on your database through all the conversations you're having with candidates and clients every day, blending that together with your benchmarking data, with market data, with economic data. So you're creating strategy, and that strategy is what your customers want to buy right now from you. They are sitting in a room going, I don't quite know what to do next. I don't quite know how to build my people strategy moving forward. Recruitment companies are perfectly set up to help them with that. And that's why this stuff is really important. So your consultancy offering, your core offering, could include all this type of stuff, most of which you probably do today already, but you just give it away rather than package it up and sell it. Crazy. There's a huge opportunity here. But it might be more in-depth stuff around workforce planning, productivity benchmarking, even down into M&A talent, due diligence, and executive assessment centers, and so it goes on. You don't have to deliver all these different things. These are just examples of the menu that you could have. You can have consultants, contract consultants out for you on a beautiful margin, delivering the stuff to your client base. That's where the sweet spot is. Or you can build it into AI, where you can have AI platforms that where you're creating a subscription model where your customers can access all this data and insights and information. It's what we refer to as the pinnacle moment, because the average margin on this is shifting well away from these 16, 20% margins that we're used to into more like 35, 45, 55% margins, which is obviously far more interesting. The building of the platforms, this is easy. This is one I built for my own business. Built it in AI, didn't cost a penny to build. It took probably about a couple of hours to build the whole damn thing. We've been building these now with TRM members as well. Again, if you're interested, let me know. I'll show you how we do it. Really, really simple, but this allows you to pull data from all sorts of different places and then use that data with your customers. Here's another example of one of the members over in Australia who have done this. This is their platform. And this is one of the members over in Belfast who have done exactly the same thing. So this stuff is really easy to build now. If you come on the Traction program, we'll show you how to build this for free. It doesn't cost any money to build it. That's the great thing about it. But then you can actually monetize this stuff, which I think is absolutely superb, and I think it's super exciting. This is a change and evolution in how we work as recruiters, but it's something that's happening right here around us right now. Don't miss out the opportunity, because you have this asset within our businesses, which is data, salary intelligence, live market insights. Start monetizing that, because other people are, and they're making money out of it. That's the Pinnacle program anyway. So going back to my point, when we're talking about your blank canvas piece of paper, rebuilding your business, think about your products and your services. I just gave you one example there of how your products and services might be evolving. There are obviously lots more that you can do, whether it be looking at RPO business, statement of work, recruitment as a service. We do one called TTP, Total Talent Partnership. One of the members has just won 2 of these deals. I'm so excited by this last week, which is brilliant, worth a good 400 or 500 grand. So again, lots of stuff in here that you can look at. But again, think about your products, your services. Are they what your customers actually want to buy right now? We know for a fact your customers want to spend money with you, just maybe not in the way that you're currently selling them. Part 4 is your sales strategy, your go-to-market strategy. Have a strategy, put something in place, make it a multi-channel sales strategy, focus on inbound and outbound, automate it where possible so you can have it running in the background and so on and so forth. That's really important. Look at your business, look at your sales processes today. What isn't working, what is not working. I'm not saying anything is right or wrong. I'm just basically look at your own company and go, actually, well, we do lots of cold calls, it doesn't seem to work anymore. Why not? What's going on? Is it because you're rubbish at it? Is it because the process has changed? Is it because it just doesn't work in your market? What is it? If it doesn't work, fix it. If you can't fix it, move on, find another channel. But ultimately, don't just keep hammering the same bloody nail, because it ain't going to work necessarily. So look at your sales channel, look at your sales strategy, outbound and inbound strategies. Here's some examples of the ones that we look at. Pick 3 on the left, pick 3 on the right, work out deliberately how to do these brilliantly well. This is the call I had earlier on today. We were mapping out the multi-channel strategy. I was going, right, what does excellent look like when you're specking out candidates or reverse marketing, if that's your channel, or when you're doing your partner stuff or your referral process? What's excellent look like, and how do you make sure that happens 24 hours, 7 days a week? It's always on. And that's the same thing in the social scaling program that we run, which is the personal branding program, is that how to fill the top of the sales funnel properly, beating the LinkedIn algorithms and so on and so forth. So we're not wasting time doing sales activity that is just not landing anymore. We're doing stuff that's really making a difference and pushing the needle. Again, if you want interest in coming on the next cohort for social scaling, we have 100 people on it every time. It's a brilliant 4-week program, free to members, no cost, but it really makes a big difference as well. And that's the same thing we talk about in the Velocity Playbook and the Velocity Program, which is all about using AI and building a proper sales channel strategy that drives and moves the needle. If any of you are interested, by the way, I've actually created a training program purely on velocity. These are the slides. If you want a copy of the slides, you can then actually use this internally if you want to train your own teams with the playbook. Everything you need to do, just get on with it. At least have a plan and at least have a strategy. Okay, just get on and make it happen. Otherwise, you're too reliant on feast or famine scenarios all the time as well. Again, I won't go through all this. This is sort of mapping out the program as well. There's some from the areas of the slides. There we go. Right, good. So there's your sales and growth strategy to think about that. Part number 5 is your org structure. So again, looking at your business itself. If you're bringing in AI into your business, for example, and that's going to remove 50% of all the admin work that you've been doing over the years, and all your recruiters are doing, then what's your team going to look like? What sort of skills do you need to have in your business? What's the org chart look like? It's going to be different. It has to be different. If you're a growing business, you might have these types of roles. You might have a community manager whose job is to run your community, which then fills up your sales funnel. You might have someone who's what we call operational excellence. We've been recruiting a few of these recently, which is someone's role who's to look at the business every single day and go, how do we make all of our processes 5, 10, 15% more effective than they were yesterday? Maybe using AI, but maybe you're using automations, maybe making sure you're using your CRM system properly. But that 10, 50% uplift in productivity and performance could equate to 110% hitting the bottom line. So again, you might have different roles within your business, different skills that we need to train our people out to be able to deliver the types of model that we need to have moving forward. So restructure your business for relevance. Make sure that your org chart is different. And if I just flick through to here's a classic org chart, these are the sort of org charts I'm signing off at the moment. So I've got people, humans in the office, in the orange. I've got an offshore team in some cases now where we're taking people over from South Africa and other parts around the world to do some of the sort of lower level roles potentially at a cheaper rate. And I've got AI agents. I've got a whole bunch of agents that I've built. These are actual physical people, like worker bots, but they're AI that live within my business. They're in my org chart and they have specific tasks to do and jobs to do as well. When you look at that, it's a bit bizarre when you look at it, but then the reality is, if you're building a proper fit for purpose business strategy, you might want to be thinking in this way: people, offshore people, AI agents, all coming together to create the perfect org chart and the org structure. And obviously, significantly lower cost than just having a room full of lots and lots of people. Within that, just make sure everyone's playing to their superpowers. And we talk a lot about making sure that recruitment leaders, recruiters, SLTs are actually doing things today that are actually making an impact to the business. We always say to people, like, look at your job spec. If everything on your job spec are things that you really love to do, you're really bloody good at doing them, and they actually have an impact to the bottom line, to the business, then if that's your job spec, then brilliant. Anything else on that list that doesn't tick those boxes, you want to basically get rid of it, or get AI to do it for you instead, potentially. Again, so we're doing lots of these leadership alignment reports at the moment, where I'm working with boards and leadership teams to basically go, who is doing what, who's playing in their superpowers, and how do we take stuff off your hands when you don't need to be doing it. Okay, so think about your org chart, think about the org structure of your business, Part 6, which is the last one, which is the around your tech stack. Obviously, technology is a massive part of a recruitment company now, whether you like it or not. Think about your tech that you need within your business. This is not just AI. This is about your CRM. This is about your reporting structure. It's about data and so on and so forth. Think about your AI journey when you do think about this. And as we talked about before, this is no longer just about using AI to assist you with stuff, as in Copilot, as we define it as. This is about getting AI to actually do things for you automatically, which is what we call autopilot. The really smart recruitment companies and some of these super agencies that we're working with at the moment are actually now created a proper full-on mission control, an AI mission control within their business that's not only looking at let's building agents, etc. But some of these agents are actually monitoring their performance and advising on what to do next, how to move things even better. So they're continuously improving all the time. That's where we need to be. Certainly in the next 12, by the end of Christmas, I would expect all the companies I advise to have a full-on mission control in place, and that's what I'm building for them at the moment. Again, that's how you need to be thinking within your businesses. We know what AI does. I won't go through this in detail. Come on my AI program if you want to do the traction course. But we know there's lots of things that recruiters are already using AI for, which is great. It's about freeing up our recruiters now to create more time to them to do their best work, their human work, as much as anything else. And again, I've been using this sort of acronym for ages now, this 80-20 rule. These are all the things that recruiters do on the left, which doesn't free us up so much time on the right-hand side. What we're trying to do now is get AI to do all that stuff on the left-hand side for us, so I can spend more time, or my recruiters can spend more time doing the stuff that's on the right-hand side, in meetings, the old school human side of recruitment, where we actually make money, by the way, and where we stand out, which is important. Okay, so that's how you think about it. And if we are creating that space for our recruiters to do more of that human activity, that should result in 4 times the net contribution. In theory, therefore, your commission structure should change, your thresholds should change, your expectations should change as well, for that matter as well. CRM first, you've got a CRM system in place, use it. Most recruitment companies, I don't think, use it anywhere near as much of their CRM that they're paying for. It's expensive, it's not cheap, so have a look at it. Here's an example of one of the members. We did an assessment of 18 months worth of placement data, 421 placements they had done in 18 months. When we looked at that, 366 of those placements had come from either, of those candidates that we placed, had either come from a job board or from LinkedIn. Fine. But then when we reran that report, we actually seen how many of those candidates were actually already on the CRM system. And in this case, it was 285. So the fact is, the reality is they're recruiters. When we win a job, they go straight out to job boards or straight to LinkedIn to go and find the candidate rather than going to CRM first. That's crazy. That's a waste of money, waste of time, waste of resource. Okay. We've got a really cool playbook around this, called the Ultimate Candidate Pool Playbook, which will help you exactly do this. It's a way of basically turning your candidates into assets to win business off the back of that. If any of you want a copy of this, just give me a yes or a thumbs up in the chat, and we'll get the team to send it across to you. But again, it's another strategy to think about. And these are what the super agencies are doing. They're thinking about, how do I monetize what I've already got? How do I squeeze more performance and productivity out of what I've already got? And this is a simple example of that straight away. I won't go through all the AI stuff today because we've gone through this to death, I think. So I think come on my traction course if you're interested, or come and do some of the AI stuff with us. But let's just think about our AI strategy. Do Project Automate, this is actually a live one on the right hand side here. One of the members, I'll be mapping out their project, the AI project, to get that done properly, and then work out what agents are we going to go and build. This is my agent hub with my agents. What agents are you building? So then you can go and get them to do all the heavy lifting for you outside of your CRM. And we're going to start building these AI first recruitment flows basically within our businesses, not to replace the humans, but to allow our humans, or to allow us to be more human, I suppose, as much as anything else. Okay, cool. I'm going to flick through these. I'm not going to go through all this stuff. This comes from my traction course. Okay, cool. So let me go straight to the last bit here. So that's your technology stack. Think about your tech stack and how that sort of fits in. And then ultimately, what I'm asking everybody to do at the moment is just think differently about your businesses. If you want to be a super agency, you have to think differently, do things differently. It doesn't mean recruitment is broken. It's not broken. But if you want to squeeze more profitability out of it in a market that needs a good squeeze right now, then I think we need to up the game in all these different areas. So hopefully that's given you some ideas to think about. It's a bit of a Kodak moment, let's be honest. I don't want TRM members to miss out on the opportunity, because these super agencies will be taking market share. They are taking market share right now. So the question I'm going to leave you today, hopefully it's been useful, by the way, but the question I'll leave you is, if you've got 90 days, you have got 90 days, 3 months, I do everything in 90 day sprints, what will you do to rebuild your business to ensure it's both future fit and future relevant so you can become one of those super agencies? Take that question away with you today and really think about it over the course of the next couple of days. And that's a wrap for this episode of the TRN podcast. Thank you for listening. And make sure you grab the free episode toolkit. All the links are in the description. And click follow in your podcast app so you can get notified of our next episode. If you want to get more out of your business and your people, then please unlock 30 days from our platform, TRN World, for free. And help yourself to all our training content, our guides, our templates, and peer insights. You can get started at trnworld.com/trial. And finally, if you found this episode of the TRN podcast of use,